Well, we're all dressed up. We got no place to go. Well, that's if you're MLB and MLBPA, but we mean business this week, just like the players and just like the owners. Why? Because Eric, after a 15-minute meeting last week, they're getting their suit and ties on, they're cleaning their plane so they can fly and meet every single day this week. We're going to talk about this and other things and what may happen this coming MLB season. Stay tuned. Let's take a ride. Let's see what's going to happen.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Huysman and Brett H-Town Wheelhouse Chancey.
We are Locked On Houston Astros, and we hope that you join us for a daily Locked On Astros podcast. My name is Eric Huysman. You can find me on Twitter at Eric Talks Stros. You find the show at Locked On Astros. Your team every day. Brett, where can you find you at?
Well, first, I'm going to say you look pretty snazzy, Eric. You can find me at H-Town Wheelhouse on Twitter and Instagram, and at Stros411 on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Always positive, always dressing our best, always Stros.
All right. Don't forget that you want to make us your first listen. If we're dressed this nice, you want to listen to us every day. Go and subscribe to us on YouTube if you haven't already. And go and listen to us on your way to work, on your way home to work, on Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts. Make sure you check out the Locked On Astros podcast and make us your first listen. Hashtag first listen. And today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline, where the game starts. Speaking of which, everybody wants to know, when is the game starting? And I know that the owners have set a deadline, and they have said, look, guys, I think it was at February 28th. If they
Yes.
don't have a deal set by February 28th, then the season's not going to start on time. And then the owners have also said that spring training is delayed till at least March 5th. And then the players have come out and said, wait, you can't say this. And this is not something that you can come out and say. So there's a lot for us to discuss. The sides are still not able to agree on anything. I know they met on Thursday. We talked about it briefly on an epic crossover, but both sides are both so far apart. But it sounds like with this quote unquote deadline they have that the owner set for the season to start on time, that the players and the owners, they're going to be meeting every day this week to try to reach some deadline. But the 15-minute meeting that they had on Thursday, it was never a, hey, let's get together, let's go and get this deal done. This was a, okay, what's your last ditch proposal before we have to go ahead and go full force? And that's what they're going to do this week.
So there's a story I remember when I was in ministry. There was a pastor that was really like convinced about this offering he wanted to take, and they had to get so much money. And this is a true story. He had the deacons chain the doors locked so that people couldn't leave until they had that money. And although I think that's a terrible, horrible thing to do, an extreme thing to do to get people to give money, especially to a church, maybe that's what they need to do with the owners and the player reps, is like chain the door shut and say, you're not coming out until you have an agreement. The 15-minute meeting, I have no idea. I don't even understand why would you even meet for 15 minutes? If you knew nothing was going to happen, why waste your time? And now all of a sudden, oh, you know what? Monday is September. Monday is February 21st. And that's 7 days away from the deadline we gave y'all. And so, yeah, of course they're going to be Johnny on the spot. This should have happened weeks ago, Eric. This is what frustrates fans. And it's not that the fans don't want the players to get their fair share. It's not that it's about millionaires versus billionaires. It just doesn't seem like there's been much expediency on either side. Now, I think the players' counter offers have just been so far away from what the owners want. That's why these things have been shut down. But if you knew going into that meeting on Thursday that you weren't going to budge on anything or nothing was going to really change, then why have the meeting? Just do a Zoom meeting. Just like everybody get on Zoom and let's talk about it. I mean, there's got to be side conversations going on, and that's what Ben Verlander told us last week. There are probably side conversations, and people are talking. You know, the rumor, the assumption was that maybe there was 8 to 9 managers possibly holding the deal up because you need at least 23. I say managers, owners. You need at least 23 to get this agreement to go through. So let's just hope, Eric, that this is a very productive week because let me tell you, I'm getting a temperature of baseball fans. And there are people that are literally watching college baseball for the first time, which isn't a bad thing.
Yeah.
College baseball is a very fun sport to watch. But if you're not into college baseball, you're not into college baseball. I mean, it's just one, it's almost like a whole separate sport. It's a great game. There's been some amazing games. A&M had a walk-off on Sunday. They had a walk-off home run. A bunch of colleges had walk-off home runs. Some really cool things happened.
Yeah, I think it was Friday night that me and my girlfriend were watching the Rice versus um, Longhorn game, UT game. So
Yeah.
yeah, it seems like MLB is covering. We're like, hey, we can't cover MLB games, so let's go ahead and cover this. And I know that they're at the U of H game. I know that they're doing some drone coverage, and this is something they haven't tried yet. So this is something that's new that they could possibly try out at the big league level. So, but of course, there's going to be somebody saying, "Oh, well, this is going to be another way that Astros could be using." I'm not going to say it, but you know what I'm trying to go with. But
Oh yeah. Well, and there was Vanderbilt has and I have to look into it more. They were all using watches. And they were all using watches and knowing like the pitcher was not getting signals from the catcher. The
right,
pitcher was getting signals to his watch. I was like, okay, guys, like really, like you do know what's been going on in MLB. You do know about the electronic sign stealing, about all this stuff, right? It just seems odd. I think it takes away an element of the human aspect because you can legally steal signs.
yeah. So I just want to kind of mention some tweets I saw from Peter Gammons, and it seems like there may be some player unrest, some players getting kind of frustrated with this whole process. And I know that they're saying that the voices in baseball have seemed angrier this week than any time since the lockout began. The guild's obsession with the big market, not jobs, and the vast majority of the players, the owners' dismissal of endangering careers by the ban on players with medical issues, talking with club medical officials. But then he went on to say that one veteran player said yesterday, it seems like we're negotiating to ensure there's a $300 million landing spot for Carlos Correa. A veteran player apparently told Peter Gammons this. And one GM added, how many players will show up to spring training with some injury that they couldn't tell us about? Because just remember, the two sides can't really communicate. So,
Like, basically, legally speaking, right? I mean,
right.
this isn't just like, okay, you can't talk. I mean, this is like there are legal lines that would have to be crossed for that to occur, which is absolutely absurd to me. That is so that doesn't make any sense at all. And I don't care if it's legal mumbo jumbo. It's still it doesn't make any sense. How are you going to have your biggest assets, Eric? The guys that you're paying the money to, the guys that bring the people into the gates of your stadium, and you don't even know what the hell's going on with them. I mean, injuries or anything. I mean, it's absolutely insane.
Yeah. So it's just like not having the right built bar when you need it. And so, Brett, tell us a little bit about Built Bar.
So Built Bar is the best tasting protein bar in the business, and it's February. And basically, we want you to realize that not only do they have Built Bars, but they have the first protein infused marshmallow Built Puff. That's right. They're marshmallowy. They're great. They're a treat. They're wrapped in 100% chocolate. Puffs are a fan favorite with some incredible flavors. Yummy cinnamony churro, coconut marshmallow, banana cream pie, so good. They will be your favorites in no time flat. Low calorie, high protein. Replace your candy bars with these. go to built.com and scroll down on the macros chart. You'll be blown away. The high protein, low calorie. Let me just tell you, 130 calories in most bars, 44 grams of sugar, 4 grams of net carbs, and 17 grams of protein. Compare that to your candy bar. The stats on that candy bar, it's unbelievable. It's like the Angels with all hitting and no pitching. It's 240 calories, 30 grams of sugar, dozens of net carbs. So why do that? You have a just a huge amount of flavors. Mint brownie, coconut almond, white chocolate cookies and cream is the flavor for this month, the new flavor. So go check it out. Go to built.com and use the promo code LOCK15. That's 50% off your order. Use a promo code LOCK15 at built.com, the best bar in the biz.
All right, tell us a little bit about RockAuto.com now.
So Rock Auto is a great place to get parts for any make or model car. Why would you go to a auto parts store where they're going to upcharge you because you're not a mechanic? They're only going to be able to search their warehouse on a computer that maybe has one or two options at best. And on rockauto.com, they're family owned. So it has the feel of a local mom and pop store. You spend 30, 50, sometimes 100% less at rockauto.com. And with it being a family business, they are there for do-it-yourselfers like us, like you listening. Their prices are reliably low for every customer. Everything you could need, brake parts, tail lamps, motor oil, brake pads, whatever it is you need. We encourage you to go and check out all the great prices, all the great deals they have. So here's what I need you to do. This is my call to you. I beg you, listener of Locked On Astros, go to rockauto.com right now and see all the parts available for your car or truck. Right, Locked On in there. How did you hear about us box? And so that they know that we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. rockauto.com.
Alrighty, so I want to read a statement from. I guess we should probably read the statement from the owners first. So this was the statement from the owners first. They said, "We regret that without a collective bargaining agreement in place, we must postpone the start of spring training until no earlier than Saturday, March 5th. All 30 clubs are unified in their strong desire to bring players back to the field and fans back to the stands. The clubs have adopted a uniform policy that provides an option for full refunds for fans who have purchased tickets from the clubs to any spring training games that are not taking place. We are committed to reaching an agreement that is fair for each side. On Monday, members of the owners' bargaining committee will join an in-person meeting with the Players Association and remain every day next week to negotiate and work hard towards starting the season on time." And so this is what the players had to say. MLB announced today that it must postpone the start of spring training games. This is false. Nothing requires the league to delay the start of spring training, much like nothing required the league's decision to implement the lockout in the first place. Despite these decisions by the league, players remain committed to the negotiation process.
So basically, what they're saying is the owners are saying we're going to work really hard now because it's almost that time and we're going to lose money. And MLB is calling them out, or MLBPA is calling them out, saying, well, you know, actually, you really didn't have to delay spring training. You just kind of said, you just assumed that's what's going to happen. It's almost like you're trying to pressure us to do something we don't want to do. The same time, the players have said if they don't get like 80% of this pre-arb numbers and they don't get more salary for younger players, then they're absolutely not gonna make a deal. Like, I mean, the players have dug their heels in, and the favor may swing back in their favor. It may swing back towards the players the closer we get to this lockout or to this moving deadline, because the owners don't want a shortened season. The owners don't want to miss games, and at the end of the day, with this, I just how do you lock someone out and then you tell them, well, you can't start until here? And it's because like you owners won't make an agreement with the players, and the players have made concessions, and actually they went back on some of them because they're like, fine, we'll just go back up to 115 million on the pre-arb pool and forget it. That's our offer and take it or leave it. So good for the players.
Yeah, I don't see them kind of going back and forth, and I just don't know what's going to happen here. I mean, they're really going to have to sit down. They're going to have to get some coffee. If they drink tea, they're going to have to get some tea, whether it's sweet tea, whether it's just hot tea, whether it's unsweet tea. They're just going to have to Red Bull. They're just going to have to sit down and order some Chinese and just sit there all day long and
I
just
don't think they should have food.
negotiate.
I don't think they
Talk
should have.
about it.
I
Talk
don't.
about it.
I don't think they should have food. I don't think they should even have water. I think you should just say no food, no
Make them
water.
sweat it out.
Yeah, like turn the air up to like 81. They can't go to the bathroom, like no restroom breaks. Like
Have
almost
spotlights on their face, make them sweat and be
yeah,
like,
like let's come on, put the heat on. I don't know. I'm just, of course we're
okay,
spitballing here. Yeah,
just be like
exactly.
this the whole time.
Yeah.
Okay, until you negotiate, you get a deal. This light's gonna be in your face.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I just that's literally where we are. I mean, Eric, this is where we are. I mean, we already have Yankees podcast websites putting up Yuli Gurriel clips of him popping up at an at bat where there were actually no trash can bangs, talking about trash can bangs from 2017. Like this is what's happening in the Twitter sphere. Like it has turned into zombie land out there, and everybody's rehashing the Aaron Judge versus Jose Altuve 2017 MVP discussion. And I'm like, oh my God, this is what baseball is doing to us. I mean, this is terrible. I love college baseball, been to college baseball games, but I miss my pro baseball. I need to see the 40-man roster guys in Sugarland out there on the field getting ready to make it to Minute Maid Park. This week, actually, Monday evening, we are going to have Alex McKenna from the Corpus Christi Hooks, and we're going to talk to him about his preparation for the season and what's going, like, has he heard anything about reporting or anything like that? Because I don't know if you saw all the footage on the Mets, but the Mets coaching staff arrived at their facility at Port St. Lucie. I think that's where they are in Florida. And so I see all these videos. It's really weird because I don't know, are they trying to torture us? Like they're showing players like in uniform, and I'm like, wait, how are you wearing a uniform? They're like, oh, those are minor leaguers, but still,
Right.
it's like, oh my gosh, like, are we doing this or aren't we?
Yeah. So I don't know what to say, Brett, anymore. It's just so confusing. So I don't know what to say anymore. And it's just I don't
Well,
know,
here's the
and
thing.
I
Hey,
don't even know if the Astros have a hitting coach anymore. As far as I know, he's accepted a job as a manager in I want to say it's Venezuela or
okay.
something. So Alex Centrone,
Yeah, exactly.
he's no longer a hitting coach for the Houston Astros. So they're gonna have to he's gonna have to they're gonna have to replace him as a hitting coach. So
Well, I don't know if you saw this in Colors Correa news. Lance McCullers and his wife are the godparents to little Kylo Correa. And of course, I tweeted out there, hey, does this mean that Correa's coming back? And everybody's posting these pictures of all the Astros players hanging out together. And the bottom line is this: we all know, in all seriousness, if you're friends now, you're going to be friends for life, and so you're going to be seen together. So no, we seriously don't think that means that Carlos Correa is more likely to stay than not. That is just a part of, like, are you just going to stop being someone's friend because you're moving to a different company or you may be taking a different job? But at the end of the day, Eric, Carlos Correa may end up getting that 300 million, and if he does, it will not be from the Houston Astros.
yeah. So yeah, 300 million is a lot for Carlos Correa, but I think that if any team's gonna pay it, it's gonna be one of the
I,
teams that's
well,
got
I
some
think it's going to
money.
be the Angels. I don't think it's going to be the Yankees. I think the Yankees have their sights set on too many other players right
Maybe.
now, and I just the Angels make sense.
Yeah.
Sully made that case the other night with me when I was on MLB with him, and he just said, they like the middle finger moves. They really don't like getting pitching, and so
But has those middle finger moves, like you say,
well,
gotten there anywhere? Gotten
no,
them anywhere?
right. Oh, no, it hasn't. But their ownership is still the same. So their ownership's they're gonna keep doing Angels things. Um, but at the end of the day, look, if we get to the minor league season, Eric, and there is no Major League Baseball, worst case scenario, we're gonna be going to some Sugarland Space Cowboy games, and we're going to be featuring some of those players. I mean, we've already had several of the guys from the team on the show, and we will have more. So whether it's Houston Astros or Space Cowboys, we will have you covered no matter what happens. So don't worry, don't fret. Eric and Brett are here to save the day.
Yeah, we'll definitely be here, and throughout this whole lockout, throughout this whole season, we'll definitely be covering the Houston Astros. You can bet on that. And speaking of betting, let's talk about Bet Online.
So football season may be over, but basketball is in full swing. And if you watched this last weekend, the dunk contest was terrible. Sorry, I had to say that. But they have both pro and college hoops. The latest odds, total player performance props to where the next fired coach is going to land. BetOnline.net is the number one spot for all your sports betting needs. And let me say this: we had one of their main guys on this past year, and he said BetOnline has and gets the numbers out faster than any other sports book out there. So that's another reason to go to them. They remain the best spot for all sports scores, podcasts, and news this season. It's not just basketball. BetOnline.net is your source for hockey, boxing, UFC, odds right to your Olympic coverage, which may be ending soon, but there's so much more. Head to the website today and use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and the action going on. BetOnline, where the game starts.
Alrighty, and you already make the Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day. Why don't you make the Locked On Prospects your second listen? We have host Lindsey Crosby. He's a prospect encyclopedia, and he's going deep on the MLB stars of tomorrow. In fact, that may be all you get to watch for a while we're doing a lockout. So why don't you go ahead and check them out? It's a Locked On Prospects, and it's free. Locked On MLB Prospects, and it's free and available wherever you get your podcasts, like Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, just like on Locked On Astros podcast. So go and check that out. And I want to go and correct myself with the Alex Centrone. He's probably going to be the manager of a Puerto Rican team,
Okay.
not the Venezuela. I knew it was
Puerto Rico,
not his.
Venezuela, completely different, right?
Yes,
Different.
definitely. I just want to clarify that, but that's definitely going to be a big loss for the Houston Astros. But that's something that we can talk about later. But looking at the situation here with Carlos Correa, I mean, I just don't see him coming back, whether the threshold comes up or whatever. I know that we see him hanging out with Lance McCullers. I know you sent out a
Right.
tweet where him and McCullers and his wife and both wives are together. And I know they went to a UFC fight together or match or whatever you call them. But I mean, just because they're friends, that doesn't mean that,
No, right. And that's
you're
the
come back to Houston, you know?
point I was making earlier. Like, of course I was making light of it, and maybe some of it's, maybe I'm trying to will it. Hey, look at this. I've been adding Carlos Correa on. I found a picture from the first time we got his autograph, I believe when he was a rookie. And man, he's really, really young, Carlos Correa. And I mean, he's still young, good Lord. But when he was a rookie, when he first came up, and I tweeted that picture out, and I said, I miss seeing a young Carlos Correa, and I added him. And I was like, please don't make this the last time we see you in Houston this last year. So there's a lot of fans doing that. There's a lot of sentiment. The guy is Houston Astros baseball. He wears it on his sleeve. He proudly supports the team, and I know he loves the city. And that's something you as fans, or we as fans, have to remember. If he does go somewhere else, you can't begrudge him for making the most of his opportunity, because everyone listening to this podcast would do the same exact thing. You're is like, well, they've got to be loyal. Players aren't loyal anymore. Well, you know what? How loyal would you be if another club or another company offered you the most money that you could ever make in your entire life? You're just going to turn it down because you're loyal to that company? Yeah, some of you are saying right now, of course I would. Well, but you also have never been a major league ball player and been in command of that kind of salary, unless you're like Jim Crane listening to the show. So, let's just keep in mind, Eric, that there are still some great things that are going to happen, even if the absence of Carlos Correa comes about. You will see Pena at some point make an impact on this team. Tucker will have another great year. I think he's going to vie for the MVP. I think Bregman is going to be vying for the MVP. And depending on how Justin Verlander does this year, if he's taking care of his body, I think being a veteran that he has a higher chance of success this year coming off of Tommy John, versus if he was younger and coming off of Tommy John. Like, I think he's going to temper it, but I think you're going to see JV do some things that nobody expects him to do.
Yeah, and I think the Astros are counting a lot on JV this year, so we'll have to see. We'll have to see what the whole situation is. But
Yeah,
let's just assume that MLB and the Players Association gets their act together, and by February 28th, they come to agreements.
yeah,
And just imagine a week from today, which is February 21st,
right.
Monday. Just imagine how busy March 1st is going to be. March 1st
Oh
through
man,
March 5th. There's going to be so many transactions going on. There's so many free agents out there. There's so many transactions that still need to be made. There's rosters that need to be filled out. What are you going to do at shortstop for Houston Astros? This has been given the one thing that this has done is given teams time to look to see what's out there and
yeah,
kind of evaluate the talent out there.
true.
What's
That's
what's
true.
what's out there compared to what we have in house. So this has been kind of a blessing in disguise where you don't have to rush into it, but at the same time, it's kind of like you've got to act fast because every team has had the same advantage. So every team's going to be like, it's going to be a bidding war. So it's kind of like the housing market right now. You're going to be, everybody's bidding for the same house. So you're going to be
Oh yeah, and houses are
overbidding.
going to fly off the shelf really
Yes.
quick. See, Eric, that's what I call always positive, always Stros. Look at you, just fell right into it with your suit and tie because you mean business like me, and we are seriously like. I really think I have to agree with Ben Verlander's tweet earlier this evening on, well, I say this evening if you're listening on Monday. Yesterday evening, Sunday night, he tweeted out and said, "I just have a good feeling that they will actually come to an agreement, especially with the frequency that they've announced that they're going to meet." And here is what I think the good thing is, though, about waiting to this point. Both sides know more now exactly what the others are willing and not willing to do. Maybe now they actually have a framework to say, okay, here are our boundaries. They've been established. So we're going to work within that and not try to go outside of that. And maybe those boundaries get them down the narrow path to an agreement.
Yeah, I agree. So, um, I I don't think I don't have too much more for
No,
tonight.
no,
I
man,
think
it's
we
all
need to
good.
wait
Yeah,
to
I think
see
we,
what they do tomorrow because I know it's a lot of people like schools are out tomorrow. I know a lot of people are celebrating President's Day, but it just let's see what happens. I mean, this a lot is going on this week in baseball. This is going to be if we start season on time, if we start spring training at a decent time, and can we get the free agency going again? Because it's at a standstill.
and yeah, and in the meantime, we've got Alex McKenna coming on. We've got some other guests that we're talking to that we're working on. We'll announce those at a later time. But I think you'll enjoy the people that we are bringing on. People that have some MLB insider information, things like that. And so, stay tuned in to Locked On Astros. We're your team every day.
All righty. I'm Eric Huysman. He's Brett H Town Willhouse, and you can check us out daily with the Locked On Astros podcast. Go Stros. Let's end this lockout, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.